Good morning, everyone. Previously, I have done the part of lip and palate, in which I have given the incidence, prevalence, embryology, etiology, classification, clinical presentation, and associated developmental disturbances which are associated with the cleft lip and palate. And today, I will going to cover the part two, in which I will include the diagnosis part, multidisciplinary cleft lip and palate team, then multidisciplinary management, pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding, protocols for the dental care, and surgical management. Now, there are some drugs which are associated with this cleft lip and palate disturbances. There is a birth defect which is caused by the thalidomide. Before this, the drug is taken for the morning sickness in the pregnant woman, but this drug is taken in the pregnant woman, then it causing some teratogenic teratogenic drug effect, meanings that when it is taken in the pregnant woman, it can has a terrible impact on the fetal development and cause the irreversible damages. In the figure we can show there is a slit like organ appearance is seen. Also there is a phocomelia, means there is a limb atrophy, or it is the most malformation linked to the thalidomide drug. Then also some other characteristic like absence of the auricle with the deafness, then the defect of the muscles of the eye and the face, then absence of the hypoplasia of the arm, preferentially affecting the radius and the thumb. Then also there is a thumb with the three joints, then defect of the femur and the tibia, then malformations of the heart and oval and uterus and gallbladder. Also some neurological like facial palsy, restricted eye movement, tear saliva syndrome. Also, there are associated with the orofacial abnormality like cleft palate, high arch palate, bifidula, palatal palsy, cleft lip, small mandible, then conjunctival dermoids, and the malocclusive teeth. Now, starting with the diagnosis of the cleft lip and palate, it can be done prenatal ultrasound, that is in 2D or 3D. The prenatal counseling, there are a 22% to 33% rate of the detecting the facial cleft, 73% is fetal cleft lip, and 1.4% is isolated cleft palate. So also there is a color Doppler ultrasonography can be also used. This ultrasound technique, it is the non-invasive diagnostics tool which confirm the fetal viability, determine the gestational age, establish the number of the fetuses and their growth, and check the placental location. Also examine the fetal anatomy for detecting the malformation. This ultrasound in the prenatal diagnosis, which in which there is the fetal phase can be studied quite early in the gestation by the use of the ultrasound. Then also details of the soft tissues phase also can be determined before the 14 weeks, and protrusions of the tongue, opening of the mouth, and sucking can also be identified. Now, transabdominal ultrasound, in which there is a not reliable till the gestational age 15 weeks and done at the 20 more weeks of the gestation. In transvaginal ultrasonography, it is the earlier visualization, that is 12 weeks, and better image resolution, greater specificity and the sensitivity. According to the Baycock and the Meghan in 1997, they have started with the coronal plane, then assessment of the continuous in axial view, bilateral cleft, that is sagittal view, and isolated cleft, that is axial view. Now, the advantages of this prenatal cleft diagnosis, it will enhance the psychological preparations for the parents to have a realistic expectation. Also, parents' educations for the cleft management, then preparations for the neonatal care and feeding, then opportunity to investigate the other abnormality and possible of the fetal surgery. Now, the disadvantages of the prenatal cleft diagnosis is the emotional disturbances, also high maternal anxiety dysfunction, and terminations of the pregnancy. Now, parental attitude towards the cleft lip and palate. There is a psychosocial issue. There are a critical part of the assessment and management of the child with the CLCP, and that should be must addressed from the onset of the care. The birth of the child is always the time of the great family and adjustment. So it is especially stressful when the child is born with the this cleft lip and palate defect. The feeding difficulty, this infant experience can be threatening to the new parents who may doubt their own ability to feed and nurture the infant. Also, there is a loss of ability to breastfeed in especially the traumatic for some mothers. Then also, as the child grows, the family will other concern like relating, there is a teasing, then peer acceptance, then speech difficulty, learning and behavior problems. Also for many families, it is a securing appropriate community and financial resources. Also, during the adolescence, there are some new challenges as the maturing the teens strive for the independence and copes with the being different in the high opinions and conscious culture. Now, other important circumstances that are often addressed by the psychosocial professional, which is include the child abuse, neglect, and substance abuse, domestic violence, and the other family dysfunction. Now, the wheelchair in 1959, he has reported some 10 parental attitude of the parents towards the cleft lip and palate patient. First of all, the child appearance, then request for the immediate surgery, then speech development, feeding, reactions of the spouse, actions of the sibling, reactions of the family and friends, intellectual development, financial problem, and recurrence of the defect in the other unborn child. Now, since the now the manage starting with the management of the cleft lip and palate, since it is the associated with the multiple abnormality, it requires a multidisciplinary approach that include the dentist, ENT, speech therapist, pediatrician, psychologist, ophthalmologist, social worker, then genetics, nursing, and the surgeon. Now, the fundamental of the cleft lip palate team, there should be required an interdisciplinary team for the specialists with the experience. Also, team must see the sufficient number or maintain the expertise. Also, there is a optimum time for the team evaluations in the first few days. Then team should assist the family and adjust their birth defect. Then team should adhere to the principle of the informed consent. Then partnership with the parents and allow the participations of the child into the decision making. Also, care is to coordinately the team, coordinated by the team and is provided locally if it is possible and appropriate. The team should be sensitive to the culture, then psychosocial and other contextual factor. Then team is responsible for monitoring the short and the long term outcomes, also including the quality and the management revisions of the clinical practice when it's appropriate. Also, the treatment outcome include the psychosocials and well-being and effect on the growth function and the appearance. Now, the management of the start with the neonates, there is a age specific management. I will explain later on. Starting with the neonate, there is a neonatal respiratory obstruction. So, infant born with a very small and posteriorly displaced mandible and the tongue, which fall back, which cause the obstructions to the airway like Pierre-Robin syndrome. Also, they have found some difficulty in the feeding. Almost all the babies with the oral cleft do have a difficulty in the feeding. Also, breastfeeding should be encouraged. Feeding by the bottle rather than the spoon is much more natural for the baby and to encourage the biting action and the lower lip and the jaw functions and development. Now, nostril must be clean. Lip should be well lubricated with the Vaseline, and when with the feeding is finished, there is a small amount of 2 to 3 teaspoon of a sterile water is used to clean the mouth and the palate. Also, area around the folds of the neck should also be carefully washed or dry, as the baby often dribbles the excessive saliva. Now, parental counseling. The parents need support and information regarding the treatment aspect, and mothers play a major role in the form of the nurse as well as the mother. Now, nursing management. Mostly, the mother act as a very important nurse at this time. So, after the obturator has been fitted to the in the patient's mouth, the mother will take care of its appliance. After the each feed, the plates is removed and cleaned with the running water or soaked once a day for the 20 minutes in the Hibaten solution. Now, the feeding management. For those infants with the cleft lip only, a cleft lip only for normal palate, he or she should able to eat normally and using the standard technique, or they can be even breastfeeded. If you desire some problem solving, then may be needed to ensure that the infant can get tight seal around the breast or the nipple. Now, for those infants with the cleft palate with or without cleft lip, they require a specific bottle and a special feeding technique. The breastfeeding and the use of the regular bottle are rarely possible. The purpose of this palate is the plate is to separate the mouth from the nose, and normally the soft palate at the back of the mouth moves up to close of the passage to nose during the feeding. Now, this creates a closed system and sucking motion, which create the negative pressure, which pulls the milk out to the breast of, or the bottle. Now, a cleft palate prevent the infant from creating that closed system, or he or in the he or her, his or her mouth. So it makes impossible to for the milk to be pulled out. So the infant will look like he or she is sucking, but he or she will not using the precious calorie into the futile attempt to gain the adequate nutrition. Now, there are feeding bottles. There are various feeding bottles. That is a Mead Johnson bottle. It is a soft-sided bottle that is squeezed in coordinate with the sucking effort, and thus the milk is delivered into the mouth. Now, the Haberman TM feeder. This is the feeder which consists of the large compressible nipple with a one-way valve, and it has a base that keeps the nipple full of the milk, and the infant effort to compress the soft nipple in often to sufficient to dispense the milk into the infant's mouth. Now the pigeon nipple, that is one-way valve. In this, nipple is constructed with a thinner or a more compressible side, so that the infant's tongue is effective in compressing the nipple to produce the flow. Now, these are some regular bottle which can be supplemented with the special tates, namely, the first is a newborn tate, then second one is the orthotic shape tate, then a man soft zipper spout, then NUK nuck cleft palate tate, then a mam vent teat size 2, or a tapered tate. So these are some various tates which are used into the normal bottle for the feeding. Then a special technique for the feeding. Make sure that the child is eating in upright position. Gravity will help to prevent the milk from coming through the baby's nose. Also, this is limits the choking and the gas, or it also helps to decrease the risk of the ear infection. If you want to breastfeed it, then you will need to pump your breast milk and then feed it to your babies through the bottle. Now, direct breastfeeding is not an option because a child with the cleft palate cannot generate that much suction. So use a cleft palate bottle or other squeezable bottle. Then brew your baby frequently. So if the infant with the cleft palate tend to swallow and a lot of air during the feeding. So even when they're eating, it is in upright position. Now feeding time should be not more than 30 minutes for a 2 to 3 ounce. And please schedule the weekly visit with your pediatrician until your child eating well and gaining appropriate weight. Now there is a age-specified intervention. According to the age, there is a different treatment modality that we should consider at the several age. Like prenatal. In prenatal, we should refer the patient to the cleft lip palate team. Then also medical diagnosis and genetic counseling should be done. Address the psychosocial issue. Also provide the feeding instruction, what I have explained. Then make the feeding plan. Then from birth to 1 month, we should refer the patient to the cleft lip palate team. Then medical diagnosis and genetic counseling. Then address the psychosocial issue. Also provide some feeding instruction and monitoring the growth. And being the pre-surgical orthopedics also, if it is indicated. Then 1 to 5 months, monitor the feeding and growth. Repair the cleft lip. Monitor the ears and hearing. And then also pre-surgical orthopedic if it is indicated. Then 5 to 15 months, monitor the feeding, then growth development, then ears and hearing. Also consider the ear tube is if it is indicated. Then repair of the cleft palate and instruct the parents to maintain the oral hygiene. Then in 16 to 24 months, assess the ear and hearing, assess the speech language, then monitor the development. Then when the child becomes 2 to 5 years, assess the speech language, also manage the velopharyngeal insufficiency, monitor the ear and hearing, then consider the lip, nose and revisions before the school, then assess the development and psychosocial adjustment. Then in the 6 to 11 year, assess the speech language and velopharyngeal insufficiency, then orthodontic intervention, alveolar bone graft, assess the school psychosocial adjustment. And at the 12 to 21 year age, there is a jaw surgery, the rhinoplasty if as needed, then orthodontic bridge and implant also as it needed. Genetic counseling should be done and assess the school psychological adjustment. Now, starting with the pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding. The pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding, it is the reduction in the soft tissue and the cartilaginous cleft deformity to facilitate the surgical soft tissue repair in an optimal condition, so that under a minimum tension to minimize the scar formation. Also, it allows the stimulations and redirections the growth of the controlled predictable repositions of the alveolar segment, and it gives the ideal arch form, normalize the tongue position, and aids in the speech development, improve the appearance, and also give a psychosocial boost and improve the feeding and the bone contour as well. Now, the principle of the pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding, it works on the principles of the negative sulcus treatment and the passive molding of the alveolus and adjacent soft tissue. In the passive molding, the custom-made molding plate of the acrylic is used gently to direct the growth of the alveolus to get the desired result later on. Now, the objectives of the pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding: first, to provide the symmetry to severe deformed nasal cartilage, to achieve the project of an flattened nasal tip, that is columella, then to provide the non-surgical elongations of the columella, also to improve the alignment of the alveolar ridge and reduce the distance between the cleft lip segment. Now, the starting with the history, in 1556, there is a Pierre Franco gave the first detailed descriptions of the indications of the surgical technique and post-operative care for the cleft lip. Then, in 1575, the Amboise pair pioneered a technique that bears his name, involving the lip repair with the cleft lip pins. Then, in 1689, the Hoffman demonstrated the use of the facial binding to narrow to the cleft and prevent the post-surgical dehiscence. In 1719, the Dissolve used the similar technique to retract the maxilla before the surgical repair in the patients with the bilateral cleft repair. Then, in 1844, the Hullian stated that the importance of a pre-surgical preparations of the clefts using an adhesive tape binding. Then in 1927, the Bruffy demonstrated the passing of the silver wire through the both the end of the cleft alveolus and then progressively tightened the wire to approximate the end of the alveolus before the lip repair. Now in 1946, the Pritchard observed that the rate of the bone healing was inversely proportional to the size of the gap. In 1950, the McNeil used the series of the plate to actively mold the alveolar segment into the desired position. In 1952, the Tensian developed the technique which is preserving the accurate positions of the cupid bone. In 1958, the Burston further developed the McNeil technique and made it popular. In 1960, the Millard's rotation advancement closure technique brought and the cupid bow and the philtrum into the symmetrical position. In 1975, the Georgia and the Latham introduced the pin-retain active appliance to simultaneously retract the premaxilla and expand the posterior segment. In 1987, the Hortz described the use of the passive orthopedic plate to slow the align and the cleft segment. Now, in 1993, the Grayson et al. Described a new technique to pre-surgical mold the alveolus and the lip and nose into the infant born with the cleft lip and palate. Now, step for the pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding therapy, in which there is a first evaluations of the infant for the pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding started soon after the birth. Then during the first week, the early second week after the birth, the clinical procedures and fabrication of this appliance should be started. Then molding the tissue is easier because the raise the level of the hydrochloric acid and maternal circulating estrogen is in the neonate. And then the pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding should ideally be completed before the 6 months of the age. Now the impression technique. First of all, the initial impression is made with the heavy body silicone material. Then it should be taken soon after the birth as the cartilage is a plastic and is moldable. Then the presence of the surgeon is important during the procedure to help in case an airway emergency. Now there are several authors has suggest some technique that how to we can take the impression in such kind of a patient. According to the Young et al. In 2003, he took the impression using the pre-trimmed customized pediatric tape with the baby mainly in the erect position and being held by one of the parents, and utility wax is used to circumvent any sharp edges on the tray and to enhance the adaptations to the infant mouths. Now, according to the Graysons and the Mola in 2004, they have held the infant upside down position to keep the tongue forward, which permit the fluids to draw off the oral cavity, and the impression tray is placed, and the tray should be placed until the impressions material just being to extrude from the posterior border. Now, according to the Prashanthan et al. In 2013 and Mishra et al. In 2010, they have obtained the impressions when the infant was awake in the prone positions on the dental chair, and the child is held on the lap of their parents with no anesthesia or any outpatient clinic. Now, according to the Dubey et al. In 2011, he has made the impression of the cleft regions upper arch using the ice cream sticks and the impression compound. The impressions material is allowed to set, and then the tray is taken out for the infant mouths. And then we have to check in the infant mouths that any remaining material is there or not. Then cast or the mold is poured with the dental stone. Then the plate is made on that model. Then using the special tray and the putty consistency elastomeric impression material, which is used for the final impression. Then final impressions is made with the same technique as the primary impressions, which I have explained. Now, how the appliance fabrication should be done. We have to first check the undercut present on the cast and are blocked out with the utility wax. Then separating media is applied. Then the nasoalveolar molding plate is prepared of a hard or a clear self-cure acrylic. Then it is lined with the thin layer of the dentures of material. Then retention arm is located about the 40° to get the appropriate activation and avoid the dislodgement of the name plate from the palate. Then the retention arm's vertical position should be at the insertions of the upper and the lower, while the retention button with the aids of the elastic and extra oral tapes secure the molding plate into the oral cavity. Now, how the appliance should be insertion. First of all, the appliance is checked for the proper fitting and the retention. Then the extraoral bilateral facial adhesive tape applied on the cheek to acrylic extension to form the oral plate, that is positions between the lips under the cleft and at the one end orthodontic elastic attached. Then after the initial insertion, the baby is observed for the several minutes to check the stability of the appliance. Then bottle feeding was done to ensure the proper sucking without any gagging. Then also the plate is kept into the mouth for the full time, and the parents are instructed only to remove for the daily cleansing. Other than that, they should not remove. Now, nasal stand. The nasal stand is recommended when there is an alveolar gap is decreased to 5 mm or 6 mm, 5 to 6 mm. It is made up with the 0.036 gauze and a round wire reusable like a kidney shape. In the figure, we can see there is a nasal stand like a kidney, kidney stand like a kidney shape, and it is added to the vestibular shield of the appliance. The tip of the nasal stand is pointed into the directions the medial wall of the defective nostril, and the upper lobe that is the upper lobe that is enter into the nose and likely elevate the dome until the resembling the amount of the tissue blanching is apparent. Now the lower lobe is elevate the nostril apex and delineates the top of the columella. These elastic are used at 0.25 inches, and it should be stretched about the 2 times the diameter for activation force about the 2 O's. In this situation, there are some forces which are involved. These are called as a force vector, like downward forces, surgical tape placed on the prolabium side, then posterior force that is from the horizontal band, then upward and anterior force that is from the nasal stand. Now, modification of this pre-alveolar nasoalveolar molding, pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding, there is a pre-directional appliance, derotations of the rotated maxilla. There is a use of the acrylic button with the elastic chain and as a nasal bridge to carry out the aggressive nasal molding with an increased range of the large nasal stent to decrease the chance of ulceration. In this figure, we can see there is a chain like they have used, and also there is a acrylic bulb is there. Now the another one is a CAD-NAM, that is computer assisted device nasoalveolar molding. This technique for the treatment planning and appliance designing, so there is an accurate analysis of the required movement and the multiple planes should be obtained, and it is made up from the 2006 software. CAD-NAM, it is the guiding principle in applications of a constant low-grade pressure to reshape and reposition the anatomic structure. And this method of the treatment require the attentions with the CAD to detail that it is details it at times to 1 mm in the dimensions. The alveolar segment should directed to their final and optimal position, and force and directions could properly be controlled, and the rapid from 2006 software they have used for the treatment objective. Now one article in which there is a Kwan Yu Zin Gon evaluated the effectiveness of computer-aided design nasoalveolar molding on the maxillary alveolar morphology in the infants with the unilateral cleft lip and palate. They have taken the 15 infants with the unilateral cleft lip and palate treated by the CAD-NAM therapy, and composed of the treatment group, and the control group is consists the 15 infant with the non-pre-surgical treated unilateral cleft lip and palate, and then the maxillary morphology is analyzed with the rapid form XORC software. And this study suggests a trend towards the morphological improvement in the maxillary alveoli of the infant with the unilateral cleft lip and palate treated with the CAD-NAM, and the CAD-NAM effectively reduced the cleft gap corrected the maxilla midline and improve the sagittal length of the maxilla. Also, the alveolar height decreased and significantly after the treatment. That is indicated that the traction forces of the appliance may have an obstructive effect on the vertical growth of the alveolar bone. Now, one article in which there is a facilitating the CAD-CAM nasoalveolar molding therapy with the novel click in the system for the nasal stent, ensuring the quick and user-friendly chairside nasal stent extend. In this method, 14 healthy newborns requiring the treatment of the unilateral cleft lip and palate were included. And in a one group, they had been taken the previously treated CAD-CAM intraoral molding plates, and other group they have used the rapid NAM, which include the novel nasal stent system. In both the group, the impressions they have taken from the nose and upper lip had been performed within the first few days of the life. Then at the end, the intraoral and the nasal molding therapy, when the primary lip is closer, is carried out at the age approximately 3 to 4 months. And then the cast were digitalized with the 3D triangular scanner. And then both the technique involve the use of the stainless steel wire constructed, and the nasal pulp is made with the resin. In this figure, we can see there is a rapid NAM and the semi-automated plates generated. In first figure, there is a virtual rapid NAM plate with the retention pin and the screw threaded is there. In figure B, we can see there is a corresponding nut is there with the retentions of the buckle tapping. And this in figure C, we can see there is a caudal view which are showing the retentions of the pin with that retention group and profile view. And that black wire can clip into that retentive slot. And they have measuring this with the 3D scanner. They have measuring the like some points, like for an example, that alar base, that is AB point, then nasal tip, that is anti, subnasal point, that is SN. So like this, there is a accuracy of the measurement should be done. Then in this figure, we can show that is a dorsal view of the rapid NAM plate with the attached nasal stent. And in second figure, we can see this the frontal view of the rapid NAM plate with the attached nasal stent. So the study concludes that the integrations of the pin is the part of the rapid NAM algorithm, and it is a very time efficient. And also the exchange of the previously fitted nasal stent to another plate is a fast and only need the minor correction, thus reducing the treatment hours also. Now, one another article in which they have used the 3D printing in the fabrications of the nasal stent. Mainly, they have used the biocompatible materials such as the polylactic acid, polyglycolic acid, and the polycarbolactic lactone, that is PCL, and they made that their blends and the polyethylene glycol, that is PEG. And this material they have used like in a customized and patient specific treatment. They have construct with the intraorally to help the shape the alveolus with an external membrane to shape the lip and the nose. And the construct would have a two form, that is porous in the mesh or the mesh form. In this method, first of all, they have scanned the nasal stent into the computer aided design fiber, and with this material, bioactive material, that polylactic acid or polyglycolic acid, what I have mentioned before, they have used this material and they have made a nasal stent. They have scanned the nasal stent. Then this material blend into the desired characteristic. Then the nasal stent were printed with the mesh form and a porous surface, and then they have obtained the 3D printing like a design. Like in this figure, we can see that there is a fabrications of the process for the productions of the customized stent. In first figure, they have taken that bioactive material palette. Then in a third figure, we can see there is a prefabricated stent is there. Then there is a prefabricated stent scanned into the digital template. And in the figure, there is a CAD design pore stent and CAD design mesh work like a stent is there. And there is a customizations of the nasal stent in this side. There is images of the 3D scan nasal mold and the mold is used to guide the CAD design, and the printed and the patient specific stent, and they have smoothing before to insertions into the patient's mouth. Thus, this study conclude that the successfully 3D printed stent for the cleft lip and palate repair in the porous or the mesh form, and composed of the multiple polymers in the layers, and whose properties can mechanically enhance and more bioactive. So the 3D scanning device will permit the improve the alignment of the cleft segment, also reduce the cleft aperture, then prevent the post-surgical infection and increase the patient compliance and leading the positive and post-operative outcomes. Now, one another article in which there is a pre-surgical nasolateral molding therapy in the patients with a bilateral cleft lip and palate. There is a 6-year-old female infant was treated at the National Institute of the Child Health. The first visit after the clinical evaluation, they have given the headgear. Then patients were given the parents were given the direction. Then in the second visit, after the 4 days, there is a correct use of the headgear was evaluated. On the third visit, the another new headgear they have given, and the headgear of the unilateral traction was used for the 1 month till the medializations of the premaxilla at the same level of the mid sagittal plane at the headgear of the bilateral traction was used to until the lip surgery, and then the lip segment and the premaxilla medialized and slightly retruded. Now, in the second case, a 19-year-old male infant was treated with the first visit. After the clinical evaluation, the plate was imprinted with the heavy silicone type 4. Then they have made the name plaque, and the acrylic of this plate is 2 mm thick. The second visit, the patients with the 21 days, the plaque is installed without the nasal stand. Then in the third visit, they have made the they have add the acrylic, and on the fourth and the fifth checkup, that is a wear was performed in the area to promote the bone growth. Then acrylic was made to edit in area where there is a alveolar process will be redirected. So on the sixth checkup, the nasal stand made that is of 0.32 steel wire, and the 5 more controls were performed before the surgery with the 7 days interval. So after the result, there is a approximations of the lip segment, premaxilla is medialized and sagittal and reduced into the median plane, and transverse growth of the alveolar process and prolabium elongation is also seen. Now, one another article in which there is a pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding. It is a boon to facilitate the surgical repair in the infant with a cleft lip and palate. There is a 3-month-old male child who is referred to the plastic surgeon for the pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding. The birth weight is 2.75 kg, and the medical history is unremarkable. So, on the examination, there is a cleft involving lip, then the alveolus and palate, and the natal tooth on the greater segment. And also compressed nasal rim and deviated nasal septum. So they have decided to given the active pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding, and for the about 3 months till the time the patients became eligible, the there is a surgical repair, and during the course of the treatment, the natal tooth was extracted, and after the 3 months, they have given the pre-surgical name, and alveolar molding achieved. And whereas the much of the nasal molding could not be achieved, the primary lip repair surgery was performed when the patient has the 6 months, and primary palate repair also was done. The patient became 1 year old. Now these are the photographs which are showing first of all pre-operative intraoral and extraoral view is taken, then master impression is taken, master cast is done, then alveolar molding plate is done, then appliance is insertions of the appliance, then pre-surgical nasolateral molding is done. Then after the 1 month, 2 month, and 3 month, there is a immediately after the lip repair, and the last figure is showing the 1 month after the palatal repair. Now, one another case in which there is a 8-day old male patient is referred to the department of the periodontist for the pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding, and the birth weight is 2.8. That is with the unremarkable medical history. On the examination, the patient is found to have a bilateral cleft involving the lip, alveolus, palate, and deviated rotated premaxilla on the left side. So in the first figure, we can see there is a figure A and B. There is a they have taken the photographs and marking also they have done. Then they have taken the impression. Then master cast should be performed. Then appliance they have made. Then there is a nasal stent and the nasal bridge also they have made. Then after the post-surgical nasoalveolar molding, the last figure is showing the 5 months after the lip repair, which brings the successfully treatment outcome. Now in that case they have they have compared the post pre-surgical nasoalveolar parameters and the pre nasoalveolar parameter, and they have obtained some successful result, like there is a active alveolar and nasal molding outcome for the 5 months, that is resulting in excellent alveolar molding and nasal molding. Also the columella, that is the elongated and rotated premaxilla was brought to back into the normal position. Also there is a primary lip repair surgery is carried out at the 6-month old, when the child is 6 month old, and the primary palate repair was done when there is a 11-month old. Now in a case 3, there is a the child is reported to the department, 3-day old male child reported into the department of the periodontist, and he has a bilateral cleft lip and palate. So on the examination we have found there is a deviated rotated premaxilla on the left side and presence of rudimentary columella and underdeveloped alveolar segment. So they have decided to give the pre-surgical nasoalveolar plate with the modifying nasal bridge. What I have explained before, like chain, like this they have given. So they have modified the nasal bridge and they have given the appliance like followed the previously procedure, and following 102 day of the pre-surgical nasoalveolar molding, that could achieve the retractions and centralizations of the premaxilla along with the prolabium and along with the excellent nasal and the alveolar molding. Now one another article in which there is a evaluations of a efficacy of the novel extraoral nasoalveolar molding technique with the lip tapping in the cleft lip and palate patient. The aim is that to compare and evaluate the dimensions of the cleft lip and alveolus, the morphology of the nostril, and the width of the cleft lip between pre and post therapy. In this material, the study conducted on the 7 patients with the CLP, with include 4 unilateral and 3 bilateral clefts. There is a novel extraoral nasoalveolar molding device along with the lip tapping they have done. Now in this figure we can see there is a first impression they have taken, then they have a secondary impressions of unilateral and bilateral they have taken, then this is the third figure is showing the extranasal molding device for unilateral cleft palate. There is an fabricated which gains the anchorage for the forehead of the patient, and the device consists of the forehead pad and the nasal stand also. And the last figure is showing there is a loop of the coil can be incorporated into the wire, and in that there is a which facilitate the activations of the appliance in bilateral cleft palate patient. The above figure is for the unilateral cleft palate patients, and the last figure is for the bilateral cleft palate patient. There is a Y-shaped is formed which is incorporated into the wire, and there is a acrylic component also as well. So there is a 2 bulbous on each end for incorporating the DIT bulbs into the nostril. Now this is the photograph which is showing the infant with the extraoral nasal molding device and lip tapping. Now why we do the lip tapping? So the lip tapping is done to approximate the cleft lip. Also the tap is to apply the non-cleft side first and then pulled over the adhere to the cleft side. So it will making the effort to bring the philtrum and columella to the midline. Now so they have measured some with the help of the vernier caliper. They have measured some measurement like arch with premaxillary protrusion, and there is a inter segment of the distance